Hey friends and family, welcome to Marcie Creates. This is Marcie, and welcome to part 2 of our journey through the color wheel. We're going to be talking about the second side of the color wheel today, but just in review, I wanted to show you the front just one more time. Last time that we got together, we talked about the rainbow, and we talked about primary colors, secondary colors, and tertiary colors. So today, if you've not seen that video, please do check it out. This is the jumping off point from that video. And I'm trying to do these in a little bit of order so they make sense. Also, before I get started on the other side, those of you who are interested, I started a Facebook group called Marcie Creates. I will put the link. And we've had some very cool, very pretty designs show up in our group on the color wheel items that we had last week, primary and secondary colors, and rainbow. So if you'd like to contribute your designs or show us what you've made, I really would like to see it, but it's up to you, only if you're comfortable. If you're not comfortable doing the Facebook, I do have a Pinterest board that I've started, and I did add more boards this week to do with the color wheel and the things that we'll be talking about today. I've got some different boards, and I will continue to add to those. So my Pinterest, which I also will have linked in the description, is Marcie Creates Studio, and Marcie Creates is kind of run into one word. So if you want to follow me over there, that's totally fine, whatever you would like to do. And so let's get started. So as you can see, we have our color wheel with the beads. We did talk about quite a bit last week. And if there's a glare on this, I'm sorry. I did try to move my my color wheel. It is very shiny. So, but we're not going to have this on here for long because we're going to play with the beads. Yay. And we're going to talk about this second side. This color wheel, I'll also put in the descriptions. It's by colorwheelcompany.com, colorwheelco.com. For those of you, I think I bought this on Amazon, so I will link everything for you. So today what we're going to talk about is color schemes and the relationships of the colors and using them together. So what's nice about this color wheel, again, is that it has everything you want to know about color relationships kind of all laid out for you on the back of this. So we're going to talk about harmonious color schemes, and then we'll talk a little bit more about some other color schemes. So just as a point of reference and to remind you, the pure color is going to be on the outside of this ring. And then, as we talked about last week, there's going to be a tint, a tone, and a shade. So the tint is the color with white, the tone is the color with gray, and the shade is the color mixed with black, just as a reminder. So today, let's talk about harmonious color schemes. So the reason I bring that up is the first color scheme we want to talk about is what is called a monochromatic color scheme. So that's basically your color, your pure color, with the tone, tint, or shade. So if we were to take, let's see, let's look at green for a minute. I'm going to move this to the side. We're going to take a look at green. So green, I would say this is more of a pure green. Okay. And actually, let me get a different, I think a piece of white paper would be better. So you can see the pure color, because those are clear. All right. I'm going to try to do this without spilling beads. So here is your pure green. Okay. And I'm just going to pull this up for a second. So our tint is going to be the green plus the white. So that's going to be more of a pastel green. So you're going to be looking for something more like this. Whoops. They don't want to cooperate. This is going to be interesting. And let me do this. We'll make a little well. That ought to work. Okay. So with our green, let's do a different bead. So here's your dark green, okay? And then we want to do a tint. So let's find a light green. Ah, here we go. Here's a tint, okay? So that's green with white. We're doing a monochromatic color scheme right now. Let's say you want a tone. So that's going to be green with a little gray. So maybe more of an olive color would be the way to go. Okay. And then shade is going to be green with quite a bit of black in it. And I found these. See if I can find one. Maybe this would be a better illustration. No, that's more of a pure green. You will have to search through your stash a little bit to find. Let's go back to the original. This is quite dark, like if you were to add a lot of black to it, but I think you get the gist. So this is called a harmonious color scheme. So you would want, if you were wanting to do a harmonious color scheme, you would just basically pick many, many shades of your green, and that's going to be a harmonious color scheme for green. Let's say we want to do the same thing with, let's do this blue right here. So here's your blue. We're doing this one. And then here's a tint, right? And these are not going to be super exact, but I think you get the idea. And then, well, that could be considered a tint too. This one looks like it's got more gray, actually. That would be more of a tone. See that? See how that's got more gray? And then a little black in it. Let's see. I think I saw something in here that would be good. So that's monochromatic. So you could use all those beads together and make a piece of jewelry if you wanted to do a monochromatic color scheme. So on your color wheel, it's laid out for you. You have your pure color, the color plus white, the tone, and the shade. Now you don't have to just use these. You could go into any shade of orange, okay? You could do, and the other thing is, think about what type of bead you have. So like, for instance, this is a sparkly bead, but you could mix a sparkly bead with like a pottery bead, and you've still kind of got that analogous color scheme. Or you could add, let's see, more of a crystal. Those are all analogous. Okay, so that is monochromatic. Now, if you want analogous, which is very close, a lot of people get these confused. The monochromatic pretty much is these colors plus the tint, tone, and shade. Analogous are using colors that are adjacent to each other on the color wheel. So the rule of thumb is to use 2, but no more than 5. So analogous would be If you wanted to do two, you would do red and orange. I mean, red and red-orange. If you wanted to do a whole bunch, you could do, let me move this, slide this thing over just a second. I want you to see all the windows. And this one has a few that are covered. Let's see, let's first start with the red. So Analogous is going to be, I'm just going to slide this over. So they said no more than 5. So here's your warm tones. Remember we did warm and cool colors? So you could do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That would be an Analogous color scheme. So you could grab a red bead, an orange bead, a red-orange, I'm sorry, a orange, a yellow, if I can get my hands on it, and a yellow, orange, and a yellow. That's an Analogous color scheme. And those are warm colors. So you've got the temperature, and you have the warm colors, and you have them adjacent on the color wheel. Same thing you could do with the cool colors. So if you slid this over, okay, you could do violet and blue violet, or you could do violet, blue, blue green, and green. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So you could pull in your purple, some blue violet, blue, blue green, and some green. That's an Analogous color scheme. So the rule of thumb is 2 to 5 colors. And that's going to give you very pretty cool color palette. So here's your cool color palette. And this is any way around here. So you could start with the red violet or the violet red and go this way. It's just up to you. It's designer's choice. But here's just an example of the warm Analogous colors and the cool Analogous colors. So that's Analogous colors. Then we have my absolute favorite thing to do. I love this. This is my favorite. And this is where you get some energetic, very vibrant combinations of things. And that is complementary colors. So the complementary colors are the colors that are opposite each other on the color wheel. So for instance, one that we're all familiar with is red and green, right? Very Christmassy. It's beautiful little combination. We all love it. And another one that we're very familiar with is orange and blue. This happens to be my favorite. I love orange and blue. And then the other one that I like and that we're familiar with is, these are, by the way, I'm using the primary colors right now, the complements to the primary colors. So red, blue, and yellow, their complements are the purple, the green, and the orange. So if you notice, each primary color, the red, the yellow, and the blue, their complement is a secondary color. So red is a primary color, and green is a secondary color. Yellow is a primary color, and violet or purple is a secondary color. Blue is a primary color, and orange is a secondary color. So this is a purple and yellow, color scheme. Also very pretty. Now what's interesting about this, as far as contrast goes, this purple is going to be closer to black and the yellow is going to be closer to white. So that has way more contrast than, say, this green and this red. Because the green and the red, if you were to take a black and white photo of it, are going to be very similar in the grayscale. So this is not as, this doesn't make your eyes dance quite as much, although it's very, very pretty. But if you really want a lot of contrast, you would pick a purple and a yellow, because these are further apart in the grayscale. And then in the between all of that is your blue and your orange, which I love. That's my favorite. And you can do many, many shades, tones, tints. They don't all have to be the bright, bright color. And we're going to play more with complementary color, and I'm going to be showing you more color relationships. I'm so excited. I got the bargain bead box, and it is perfect to do projects for what I'm teaching you right now. We're going to do that Tuesday tutorial. Is going to be the bargain bead box that we just got. I'm hoping some of you got it because it's going to be perfect for what I'm teaching you right now. So those are complementary colors, and it doesn't matter. You don't have to do just the bright colors. So here is a red orange, and its opposite is blue green. So look at this. Isn't that beautiful? And just so long as they're opposite the color wheel, you can do this. Like here's a green yellow, here's a fuchsia with it, or red violet. And you've seen this color palette. What fruit does this look like? Watermelon? Check that out. So you can see from the opposite on the color wheel. Let's say you want to do maybe this pretty cornflower blue and this gorgeous yellow orange. Isn't that pretty? So that is complementary colors, opposite on the color wheel. So the relationships of the colors have to do with where they are on the color wheel. So monochromatic is your tint, tone, and shade. Analogous is next to each other, 2 or 5. And complements are opposites. Okay? Now let's talk about a little bit more complicated. So you got those. You got those down. And here's where it can get a little complicated. And this is why I started pinning things on Pinterest. You do have what's called a split complementary. So I know that sounds really complicated, but basically it's using any color with the 2 colors on either side of its complement. That's called a split complementary. So what do I mean by that? So let's go back to our red and our green, opposite on the color wheel. This is called a split complementary. So red is your main color. Green would be its complement. But we're going to do what's called a split complementary, which means we're going to pick up the yellow-green that's on the side of this side of the green, and we're going to pick up the turquoise on this side. That is a split complementary of red. Okay? So what you always have to think about with the color wheel is what's opposite. So here's orange. Well, let's do yellow. Here's yellow. Purple or violet is its complement, but the fuchsia and this cornflower blue, those are split complementaries. Isn't that pretty? So when you're wondering what to do with your beads, if you know about these relationships, you can play with them. So let's do Let's see. Let's pick a secondary color. So let's say we want to do orange. Okay, so opposite it on the color wheel is the blue. We're going to grab what's next to the blue. Okay, that's a split complementary because we grab the colors on either side of the blue. Hope that makes sense. We'll go over this more and more. I'm going to tell you in a bunch of different ways with a bunch of different things. So that's called a split complementary. Now a triad is using 3 colors that are equally spaced from each other on the wheel. So a bunch of you did, actually it was very exciting to see. You actually jumped ahead of me, which was very cool, and used secondary colors in your kit or in your designs. And actually the primary colors and the secondary colors are also a triad because they are equal distant on the color wheel from each other. So red, yellow, and blue are a triad. And then orange, purple, and green are a triad. But let's say you want to do something next to those and you're not sure what to pick. So again, with your color wheel, if you want to do a triad, you're going to look for this triangle here. Okay, so let's say I want red orange to be my, and I'm ignoring this because I just want the triangle right now. So the triad of the red orange is this triangle, which is yellow green, and this triangle, which is violet. I'm sorry, yellow green, and this is indigo. Don't read these on the outside. But look at that. So that's a triad. And yes, it looks a lot like your secondary colors. But remember, this has more yellow in it, this has more blue in it, and this has more red in it. Okay? So that's a triad. You make a big triangle, and whatever's on the end of that triangle is what you are going to put together. That's a triad. A tetrad is 4 colors, which are basically 2 sets of complements. And this gets confusing. So let's put this back on here. But it does have a squares for us. And so a tetrad would be, and we're going to just go with what's on here. Red, this is a square of red. Yellow, so yellow. Green, well, red and green are complements, right? Green, violet. So those are 2 complements. But you can mix 2 complements together. That's a tetrad. And I know that's like really complicated. And I don't really, to be honest with you, use tetrad very often. I'm more likely to use a photograph or something that I like and pick colors from that. But you can use a tetrad, and that's how you do it. If you're ever wondering why certain color combinations look good, that is why. So, another and last idea is to use what's called key color. So that means like one color is your main color, and then maybe you pull in just a tiny bit of something else. So say you're going to make a necklace and you're mostly going to put orange. Let's say I'm just going to grab a bunch of orange here. So you see that. And then maybe I want to use its complement, but I don't want a lot. If you just use a few, your key color is orange, but you're popping it with that blue. Or maybe you don't want it to be so bold. So maybe you want more of an analogous, as remember, things that are next to each other. So your orange is here. Maybe you want to put a little yellow. Just a few little yellow to kind of mellow out all that orange. But your key color is still orange. That's your main color. So you can do color schemes like that as well. So I'm going to go over this just one more time for you, because it's a lot. And you can always rewind this too. But the key thing to remember on all of these is where they are on the color wheel in relation to each other and what that means. Because like I said before, all colors go together. It's a matter of what you're wanting to do with them. So if you want a color scheme that is monochromatic, you're going to just pick different tones and shades of that color. If you want an analogous color scheme, you're going to pick colors that are next to each other on the color wheel 2 to 5 all the way around. If you want complementary, you're going to pick things opposite each other on the color wheel. If you want to do a split complementary, you want to pick one color, and then whatever its complement is, you're going to pick the colors on either side of it. That's a split complementary. Triad is this triangle, and these are equal. And if you think about your primary colors being a triad and your secondary colors being a triad, you're just going to turn that triangle around to any area that they're equidistant to each other. And then, of course, the tetrad is the square, which is basically using 2 sets of complementary colors or secondary colors. And then the key color is your main color, plus maybe you want to add things next to it. Maybe you want to add something from the opposite side. You know, it just depends how dynamic you want something to look. So let's just play around a little bit before I let you go. And let's say I decide I want to do an analogous color scheme. So I would pick some purple, some blue, maybe some more blue, maybe a turquoise. You can do 4, you don't have to do 5. That would be very pretty. And if you like these cool colors, gorgeous palette. Now, you could take that a step further, and you could make violet your main color and just do little pieces of these. This would be your key color. So you can mix these ideas. So say lavender, or I'm sorry, say purple is your main color. You would add more of it, and you can do different shades and tones, but you're going to add more of that color, and maybe have little pops of turquoise or this really pretty blue, and maybe a little bit of the cornflower. So that is just an example of something, oops, wrong spot, of something you might want to try. So don't fret if you don't have this beadboard. You can still divide your items into color, and that's why I have my studio. A lot of places I have organized by color so that I can do this very thing. So be thinking about that when you're organizing your stash, because it does help by color anything you have. Now let's say I want to do, let's say I want to do a triad of maybe some more holiday looking. If you've noticed, I don't know if you've noticed this or not, but Christmas stuff, when you go to like the different stores, are using a lot more turquoise with the red. And I just love it. I think it is so pretty. So here's your turquoise and your red. And you know, the opposite of the color wheel is your green. And then you can throw in some light green. Isn't that cute? I'm seeing more and more turquoise being added. And even I've seen where they add like a deep blue. So there's no, I mean, you can still do it. If it, just because it's not one of these combinations I just told you about, if you like it, do it. You just need to know what you're, you know, working with. And I think once you figure that out, I love this bead. Look at that with the, with like a red rose. So that's from there. And then maybe, oh, I don't know, some of these lime colored beads. Isn't that pretty? So play a lot. Make a big pile. Like I said, the bargain bead box. And then you can mix in, you know, your neutrals. You can add browns to things, you know. That's kind of an, you know, closer to the yellow, orange, brown family. I mean, browns, right? But it's more of a neutral. Your grays and your whites, your golds, your silvers. These are going to add extra dimension to things. If you think of them as a color, you know, that's why when you've got a purple bead and you put gold with it, that's like complementary colors. Because yellow is close to gold. See that? So I hope this helps. You think about things. You just got to get in there and play. Actually, these beads, this bead has done it for you. It's got the gold and the purple in it already. This came from Jesse James Beads. Look, it's got little gold, little yellow crystals in it too. So somebody was thinking about this when they made this bead or designed it. The color scheme is already complement. So you could just use this bead as a jumping off point for a pair of earrings. And that's what's cool about, one of the reasons I like Jesse James Beads. They, like I said, they employ artists who come up with these bead mixes, and now you're going to notice if you get their boxes, or as I do unboxings, you're going to understand now when I tell you these are complementary colors, because, or, you know, these are analogous colors. It's going to make sense to you, because you're going to have seen how they are on the color wheel. See, this one has analogous colors in it already, this bead. You could pull all the colors out of that bead. You know, you could grab pink, which is a tone of the red. You can, I mean a tint, excuse me. So you could pick up this pink bead, right? Whoops, hello. You guys know it's not a video until I drop something. I wonder if I'm ever gonna not drop something. Anyway, here's some fuchsia. Here's some purple, and you can do different tones of purple. Look at those together. So, analogous color scheme, because they're next to each other on the color wheel. Cool, huh? Once you know about this, you're gonna see it everywhere. Advertising, you're gonna see it on TV, you're gonna see it in fashion, you know, cars. I mean, everywhere you look, you're gonna see the color relationships, which is kind of neat. You know, once you figure out what the heck's going on, it's pretty amazing. because you're gonna know, look at company logos, what colors they use, even the fonts, the letters that they use. There's always a reason. So it's just a vast, vast, vast subject, and we are just scratching the surface with the color wheel. And I'm just so excited to bring you projects. Now the bead box from the bargain bead box, I about passed out because it is so perfect for what I'm showing you here. So we're going to continue with that in our Tuesday tutorial, because what I'm going to do with that box, and if you have it, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but I'll just tell you this: it is a very monochromatic palette, okay? Which means that's the perfect jumping off point for exploring all the different color relationships, things that you can pull into that subscription of your own to make it your own. And that's kind of my goal. I know these boxes are wonderful, and you can make tons of jewelry just with the box, but say you get a box that you're not that excited about, you can always add things that make it exciting for you. And that's what I want to show you next, and that's what we're going to do Tuesday. So anyway, thank you for joining me on this color journey. Do check out my Pinterest boards. Again, it's Marcie Creates, one word, Studio. It will be in my descriptions. Please join us on Facebook under Marcie Creates. Look for groups and Marcie Creates. I have to let you in. Just a few questions to answer. Not a big deal. We're having fun in there already. I think we've got like 46 members already. And people have been making really cool designs and exploring color, which is what I want. I want you to be comfortable with color. It's going to make you more confident in designing your jewelry, and you're going to understand more about what to do with some of these boxes when you get them. If you're not that excited about them, you can always make them your own, which is the ultimate goal. And I just am very excited to teach it to you and explore with you. So with that being said, I have a short little video of Ginger that cracked me up that I have put on the end of this. She was trying to make herself a little nest. It's just a short little video, so enjoy her. And as you can see, we have a new little intro that I created, and to kind of spiff up the channel. And be looking for Tuesday tutorial with the bargain bead box and making it our own. It's going to be a very cool Tuesday tutorial. I'm pretty excited about it. So thank you so much for watching. You all are wonderful. I keep saying it over and over again. I have the nicest subscribers anyone could ever have, and I just appreciate you all so much spending the time with me and going on this amazing journey of color. And I will see you on the next video. Take care of yourselves and your families. Be safe. Let's pray for some world peace. And I will see you on the next video.
And he promised it. I testified to this. I'm not a good victim. I get it. I'm not a likable victim. I'm not a perfect victim. But
Ginger,
when I
what are you
testified,
doing?
the jury didn't just see me
He's so cute.
as human and hear his own words.
Are you hiding?
Which is a promise to do this. It feels as though he has.
I feel like I can already see thoughts in your
Okay,
eyes.
night-night.
Go for it.
Night-night.